So this is a property inspection report today. We currently use John Chick Home Inspection as our preferred property home inspector. Uh, One, because of thoroughness, it does not get more than 1 day, and it's always just a great time for all the time. It's always going to answer your question. You notice this is going to be 6-page document. So here's the inspection report. After you'll receive it in email, you'll download it. When you receive it, uh, it'll show you as the agent. Once you get registered with them, so here it is. He actually, his whole cover picture actually grabbed the client himself standing on the front porch. This So his credentials, introduction, all that kind of stuff. What is an appraisal, or not an appraisal? What is a home inspection? Uh, you know, what different observations things, what his license restricts him to do, all those types of things. Of course, he can only inspect things that uh, are working and on at the time. So if the power's off, you can't inspect certain things. So make sure all the utilities are turned on prior to the inspection. Um, and go from there. He may call out specialty inspectors for further information. So, um, so as we go through here, the first section is HVAC, which is your heating and air system. He's saying that this is for a 24 square foot home, and he's recommending that we look into larger unit for this size home. You'll have photos and stuff from here about different things. This is all about the heating and cooling stuff. There are some space heaters that were inoperable. There's a gas fireplace in the living room. There's a whole house fan. All those different kinds of things, connections, all those things. He will do a reading of the heating vent. So this is the floor. So the floor vent is 102 degrees. So it was active heating at the time. And then he's going to show you the variant cooling system. This is your intake, and on the other side over here is the output. So it said it was heating and cooling just well. You'll see that it was taking in 67 degrees air and it was pushing out 50 degrees air. So that is pushing some cold air. So it shows you the thermostat, the disconnects. This here was an in-floor intake, and he was stating that it was the wrong size filter that's installed, and it was one of the filters falling down. So you take it straight off. Not you, but somebody else. And it'll show you the ducting in the attic, and some Easter decorations that he found up there as well. So talks about HVAC and everything being vented to each of the rooms. We'll get into the electrical connections. Here's the main service into the home from the uh, from the main power pole. This shows you where that it comes into the meter panel, into the breaker box, and he's just saying that the disconnects and everything are appropriately sized. He'll do an inspection of the panel and keep going through here. Status. This is a branch circuit. I don't know what he's holding here, but he probably talks about it in a little bit more depth. Some loose electrical outlets. This one's in the kitchen. This one's an open ground on one of the walls in the living room. Some open grounds, missing a faceplate cover. This looks like it's in the attic for the lighting. Missing a bulb and a ceiling fan. Missing the pull cord for the fan. He's going to go through absolutely everything. He's going to check all of the outlets, failed GFCI. Water heaters in the basement. He'll go over the water heater. Flex drain pipe. Although flex drain pipes are sold at hardware stores, doesn't mean that they should be used for building codes, so on and so forth. So he'll call those out. leaking fixture, toilet loose at the floor, loose plumbing fixtures usually on a sink, things like that. So this would be a shower head leaking under a sink, leaking shower head that's dripping, loose toilet. Hot water heater, he's going to look for code things. So he's saying that it's missing the discharge pipe off of this water heater here. Typically there's a pan underneath it, and then there would be a drain that runs off. He tells you where the water shutoff is. Of course, it's located in the front yard, up in some bushes. Tells you where our gas source is. It is a propane gas source. Photos of the basement. Some moisture and things like that in the basement. This is not a finished basement, but those things are recommended that you take note of. Some moisture stains, elevated moisture, shoring. There was some added shoring to some of the floor structures that you'll see down here, additional block, things like that. Talks about microbial growth, additional shoring, painted wood structures, additional shoring. You'll see everything under a home. Realize that that's what the home inspector is there for. You have a tuxedo rule, so you're not supposed to be going in and doing these things, but it doesn't mean you can't peer through a crawl space opening, or if you're in a basement, go down and look. You just don't want to speak on those things. Talks about some elevated moisture issues in the ceiling and the roof. Could be a possible roof leak. He's staying here up on the ridge. There were a couple of shingles, I think, on this when we were going through stuff, and he'll probably go through that here. Missing shingles, damaged shingles, gutter damage issues, roof flashings, flashing on the chimney, which you'll see pictured here. He does try to get pictures of everything. He won't go up on a roof, just so you're aware. Not all inspectors will. It's a safety thing, and usually it's outside of the scope of the work for the inspector anyhow. You'd want to call in a specialty inspector if something was noted. If he sees something he can't capture from the ground, he will put a drone in the air typically and get those pictures for you. Wall cladding and finish trim. There was some sagging vinyl on the outside. Moisture damage, a back door on the threshold, missing a door sweep. I mean, he's going to call stuff out all the way to down to deck boards and missing a screw and a wall hinge, things like that. He's going to talk about guardrails and handrails. They're very common to get called out. How they're attached. Is it graspable? Those types of things. Loose soffit needs to be attached down. And when you're talking about these with your clients, it's up to your client. You're not the inspector. You're not a builder. Even though Cassandra and I have an extensive background in construction, we help just walk them through that and explain things that we see in here and how we've seen them typically treated or taken care of. Bottom of stairs, stains with elevated moisture, moisture stains at time of inspection, elevated moisture. We had a lot of rain during this time as well, so it's a good time to inspect. Missing locks, balance, or damaged balance in the window, Talks about handrail, inadequate connections, stair stringers into the basement. He's going to point out everything. The stairs in the attic. I didn't go up them, let's say that. They were a little creaky, but he was able to go up there and took a look at those. Handrail terminations and balusters, how far it is between stuff. This should extend up and past, is what he's saying in this report here, which is the handrail extend past the first step. Vapor barriers missing. Vapor barriers is a huge thing here in Tennessee. Usually that's the plastic that you see on the ground that covers up the soil that helps prevent some of the moisture from getting up into the structure of the home. You'll see a lot of missed faceplate covers and electrical connection boxes and all that type of stuff. He calls out this anti-tip feature on the stove all the time. It is a current code. It comes with all new stoves. And I would say 99% of the time that it's not installed. It's to prevent it from tipping over and landing on your baby if they're trying to crawl into the oven, I guess you could say. And he'll look at venting and things like that. Like this is an over the range microwave, and this doesn't have a ducted vent. It just vents back into the room, which is common, and there's a filter that's in that. He'll talk about, connections with the dishwasher. This is very common, missing a high loop. It prevents drain water from backing up into the dishwasher, so that you always have clean water in there. And then it goes over the contract and all that type of stuff, and he'll give you all the photos. There's even a soccer ball in the attic, I see. And he'll give you definitions. Where I like to roll on his inspection reports is go all the way down here until we start seeing these little boxes colored in, okay? So usually he'll have it called out as, oh my gosh, run, if it's horribly bad. But when he's got listed in here in the color code, HVAC, this is what you need to pay attention to. Distribution system, wrong size filter, outlets, missing grounds, and he'll tell you the locations of stuff. Hot and neutrals reversed, family room outlet, real simple fixes, missing cover plates like I talked about a few minutes ago. Failed GFCI, this is a shock proof feature that you'll see on the electrical. Typically you'll see them with little buttons that you push, typically in a wet location like a bathroom next to a sink or a tub and things like that. Sometimes the GFCI is built into the actual breaker on the panel, so just so you know. Leaking fixtures, very common. Loose toilet in the floor, tighten the bolts down, or it could be decayed wood underneath, not allowing it to tighten down. And the loose plumbing fixtures, shower head arm was loose. Very simple fix. As you know, if the shower head arm is loose, somebody would need to go in there and tighten it up. That's not your job. You're the buyer's agent. Or you're the listing agent, depending on how you're reading this report, to hire somebody to go in there and take care of that. Discharge pipes, that's a blow-off valve on the water heater that he's calling out there. Floor structure, moisture stains and elevated moisture, noted at time of inspection. There was shoring things underneath the home that were called out that could be done probably a little bit better. And then he's talking about maybe some possible mold or microbial growth issues on the floor structures. Roof structure, elevated moisture signs in the roof structure, possible leaks. He says that you should recommend further investigation from a qualified licensed roofing contractor. And that's when you can have somebody come in and either make the repairs or give you a roof certification. Damaged the roof drainage system when the gutters was hanging off. Typically, you'd have that taken care of with the same roofing contractor. Roof flashing, same thing, roofing contractor. One of the boots on one of the vent pipes coming out of the top, which is a rubber bushing boot that goes on it, that was damaged. Some flashing around the chimney was damaged. This is all maintenance stuff. It happens. We have high winds that come up here in Tennessee, so you're going to see those things. Guardrails and things like that, either missing or loose. Interior doors that are binding and rubbing floors, that happens with settling and moisture contractions. We have high humidity here in Tennessee. You'll see that happen from time to time. He talks about inadequate connections of the stairs that are going into both the attic space and into the basement. No guardrails or poor guardrails around balconies and things like that. The anti-tips device that we were talking about on the refrigerator or on the stove in the kitchen. And then he'll go into other stuff if it is, there was no sump pump, there was no skylights, there was no garage doors or patios. He doesn't do outbuildings unless you put it into the contract to do so, but it is an additional charge because all inspections are typically done based upon square footage. So that's how you read a home inspection. Don't speak for your client. Let your client speak for it. They will get a copy of this just as well as you will. Review it, and just like after this call here, after this video here, I've got to call the client and go over this. So I'm reading this the first time that you guys are reading it. So if you have any questions about home inspections, feel free to reach out to our preferred home inspector or myself, Aaron Cochran, and I am happy to answer any of those questions you guys may have. Hope you guys have a great week and happy selling.